And you were on stage at the India Economic Summit. If I'm not wrong, it was the year 2022. It was 3 years ago in Delhi. Things were much different then. We weren't talking about AI then. And 3 years from when we last met, so much has changed, Mr. Gurnani. But one thing that I was inspired after meeting you for the last few minutes, and I had the chance to just meet him and take him around our studios. Mr. Gurnani has just started his own venture. He's one of India's best-known names in technology, has been at the helm of Tech Mahindra for many, many decades. And he's now, can I call you an entrepreneur now?
Of course, I am an entrepreneur.
At 66, he's started his own venture, and it's a fantastic venture. I was very excited hearing all about it, Mr. Gurnani. But tell me, why did you choose to do something with AI? How urgent is the need for India to adopt and adapt AI?
You know, it's an interesting question, and I'm only glad that you didn't ask me at the age of 66, why did you even start? So forget AI or no AI. And I must tell you that there has always been this desire, which was, how do you create institutions? How do you create, and that's what I felt when I came here at your beautiful campus here. Because to me, this forward-looking campus was also a demonstration of your commitment to the future of media industry. Similarly, for me, when EY gave me Entrepreneur of the Year award, and I felt this is not fair. I was the entrepreneur manager. And I think at some stage of my life, I should be an entrepreneur. And when my American friends, when I announced my retirement, started asking me what's the bucket list, my first two answers used to be always that if I had a bucket list, I would handle it. Why would I wait for any retirement? But then I said, no, I have an unfinished desire that I want to write a check. I want to be able to create an institution which remains relevant for the future. And obviously coming in at a time, it was exactly 21 months ago, 4th of April, 2024, I wanted to also highlight the role AI would play in our lives, personally, professionally, and also in building India. And that was my driver to create Ionos or create an institution.
And I see that you have some fantastic collaborations, by the way. How critical is AI to India as we see it today, and what are your immediate challenges? Where are you trying to bridge the gap in the AI industry?
You know, it's always, so one is, let's talk about the collaboration. Collaboration is with Interglobe. Interglobe, for many of you who are aware, know that they own majority share in Indigo, number one. Number two, they own 60% of Accor in India. They also have a joint venture with UPS, and they have one of India's largest flight simulator training institute. Now that effectively means is UPS is logistics, Indigo is travel, and hospitality is Accor. And so we have an advantage that my joint venture partner, they own the majority, by the way, my joint venture partner is a domain expert in what is in our part of the world called TTLH, which is travel, transport, logistics, and hospitality. So that's number one. Number two, from my perspective, if I look at the India part, for India, there are three, most of us understand that AI is equal to data, data is equal to machine learning, and machine learning is equal to converting into a tool which we start calling AI. most of us also understand that now saying happy birthday has become a lot easier because somebody else writes a language for you. You know, doing a simple research has become a lot easier because somebody else does the research for you. And the reality is, every time we think we have achieved, somebody else is doing a trillion more transactions to give us even better answer. Now I want to not wait for India to say whether we will win the war in infrastructure, whether we will win the war in data centers. To me, those are given. Ultimately, whether we go and take it from outside or whether we build it ourselves, we will get the infrastructure right. The real challenge is in applications. Now think about it. One of my closest friends is a professor in Stanford University called Vivek Wadhwa. Now Vivek Wadhwa and I were discussing the data and the AI part of it. And he had lost his wife to cancer. And same age as me. And Vivek decided to do all his R&D in India. And many of you who read his articles, and he has also come on your forum, Niranjan, the point was very simple, that a guy who was in Stanford, who was in Silicon Valley, realizes the real India power is data generated by 1.4 billion people. What do you think was, when the COVID war happened, the largest manufacturing in the world was in India. That's how we did, the vaccine export. Yeah. But more important is, India developed its own vaccine. That Krishna Illa gave us the vaccine in a very short time because of the usage of AI, and we, in a way, not only addressed our health issues, but also helped many countries. So my point is very simple. India's advantage is becoming Krishna Illa or a Vivek Wadhwa. As long as we remember that, the applications are thousands.
One thing that I wanted to ask you, and I felt strongly, this is of course one of the most common questions when people talk about AI, you talk about the human element. Now there are two aspects to it, and two schools of thought. One school of thought, of course, I know how AI has helped me. It's helped me be more efficient, right? It's an enabler for me. But there is another school of thought that AI is taking away jobs. I'm not so sure. In the media world, we haven't really seen that kind of an impact, at least not with Republic, right? But what is the human impact via AI that you're seeing, or that if you can talk about to our viewers?
So, I think a great question, Niranjan, and we have to step back a bit. It's not true that media industry did not see the impact of technology or AI. Reality is, all of us actually saw the impact of technology much earlier than anyone else. That I still remember one of the World Economic Forum 7 years ago. NDTV that time did not have the fund to get the cameras out there. So they filmed all interviews on a Samsung phone 7 years ago. So there was none of those fancy cameras, there was no cameraman running around, nothing. And in that cold Davos World Economic Forum, 7 years ago, suddenly the media had a new cameraman. Same way, you all realized it. Earlier, you used to say, file the story before 6 o'clock because otherwise we can't meet the deadlines. Now you file it sitting somewhere, wherever, because, the tools are now available.
Yeah.
So I think media continues to be on the forefront of adoption of technology.
Correct.
And so don't assume that there is no AI inside in that technology.
Yes.
The reality is, it's the same Spotify knows the 13 next songs that you want to listen. And Netflix wants to recommend to you which movies to watch. And Amazon started recommending you books many, many years ago.
Yeah.
So I think AI is now everywhere. AI is part of our lives. It is just that some of it, we refuse to accept it, or we are not acknowledging that it is AI.
Yeah. No, I was going through some details, and you had once thanked Sam Altman after building Indian LLM under $5 million. How far have we come since those times?
Again, I think I need to give credit to the remarkable team at Tech Mahindra, Nikhil Malhotra, who was the Chief Innovation Officer, actually rallied behind me and even said, when I was retiring in 2023, CP, on your birth date of 19th of December, we will present an LLM even if it is not fully trained. So now, billions of data in natural language interface was developed in December. It continues to be developed. Now you have trillion parameters that it can address. That LLM that has been developed by Tech Mahindra, and full credit to Mohit Joshi, who succeeded me, that he did not can the project. He's actually given it more empowerment. So now they're doing about 1 trillion parameters. They are able to play with it. And it is now not only being done for Indian languages. Last I read, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain have all asked for their local language interfaces on that LLM that has been developed after the Sam Altman challenge.
Fantastic. And what is your projection? I mean, we talk about projections, India, Viksit Bharat 2047. Let's talk about immediate. AI impact, immediate future, let's say 2030. What kind of impact do you think the AI industry is going to have?
It's an opportunity. An opportunity for India, first to acknowledge that 2030, if we are going to be a $10 trillion economy, about 15% or 20% of that will come from digital economy. So that is number one, it's an opportunity. Now, every time there is an opportunity, you need to rise to the occasion. How do you rise to the occasion? Number one is, all of us, instead of saying, AI will not impact me, start believing that AI will impact each one of us. It doesn't matter whether you are in judiciary.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you are in education or in healthcare or in manufacturing. You go around every industry. The fact is that it is there. The fact is that when an aircraft is flying, we know there is AI inside. When we see a fighter jet, we know it is an AI inside. When we talked about our Operation Sindoor, we know this time it was not the soldiers fighting, it was the drones fighting. It was the BrahMos missile fighting. And all of that has AI inside. Now, to believe that your and my future is not interlinked to AI, I think we are just sleeping like home currents.
Okay, absolutely. Now, I see a lot of students, because we interact with students, and not just in metros, but even in rural areas, right? In tier 2, tier 3 cities, right? What is the kind of AI, penetration that you're seeing? How is it helping productivity in, let's say, in tier 2, tier 3 cities in rural India?
To be very candid, I'm again repeating, most of us do not marry AI to our jobs. We are very happy when we go to the airports and see a Digi Yatra and say, India has come a long way. Now we have video AI-enabled devices. We have a very progressive government. Where 6 agencies at the back, whether it is called CISF or whether it is called A, B, C, D, E, which means Airport Authority, everybody has integrated their application and data streams to give us a seamless entry into the airport.
Yeah.
But when it comes to our own jobs, we are not extrapolating. So my point is, it is not about villages. It is not about the township. Actually, townships are going to be, or the villages are probably going to adopt it faster. The reason is AI is equal to agriculture, AI is equal to education, AI is equal to water diagnostics, AI is equal to health diagnostics. If all of those tools are now available to you, you don't have to go very far. The moment I make smartphone affordable, it will be in the palm of everybody.
Correct.
And it has started happening. You saw it in COVID that the same education system could be adopted to the villages. It was not that, we were ready. We all had to adopt. We all developed.
Yeah.
Now that means we can make it inclusive. That a Patna Super 30 or Super 20 can now reach any town or any village.
Yeah.
That means a student here who takes all the tuitions in Delhi or Mathura can compete with a guy somewhere in a village. So it's a beautiful opportunity. It is for us to now make sure that opportunity is converted into an outcome.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the effort is required. That you can analyze weather patterns, that you can analyze the data that comes to you regarding which crop and what yield and which fertilizer, which pesticide. All that data is now available to you again on your screen.
Yeah. No, in fact, to take that thought forward, because you mentioned another channel and the fact that they were using phones, right, back then, 7-8 years back. It's a technology called Live View, which Republic was using back then. What it meant was a huge truck would be crunched into a phone. These are apps that came out 8-9 years ago, and they became a success, and they helped how we, became leaner because of great bandwidth. Great bandwidth. Okay. Now my question to you is, great bandwidth is what I wanted to talk to you about, because I asked you a question about rural India. Today you have cheap internet across India. Today you have India, which is the most populated country in the world. You have numbers, and you have low-cost internet, and you have fantastic AI, penetration, right? Now, in the larger scheme of things, in the India growth story, how do you see this, propelling us to another level?
Great observation. Just to give you the facts, 5G adoption in India is far superior than any other country in the world. Number one. Number two, now 5G technology, thanks to Tejas and Tatas, is now developed in India. Number three, that this bandwidth and expansion is equal to 6G. Now, maybe it is next year. Number fourth, when you talk about space research, chances are that these low orbit satellites, today which were doing one-way communication, media is using it. That's how it comes into your room. That's how it comes onto your screen and your hand.
Yeah.
But sooner than you think, we will have two-way communication through satellite in real time. You can still do two-way communication. Ultimately, all those emergency phones are two-way communication.
Yes, yes.
But it will happen in real time. That means no lag, no anything. So I think the technology, India is in certain areas underplayed what they have achieved. And I think on the communication network and its effectiveness to reach majority of the India's population has actually been underplayed.
Yeah. Which are the sectors you see adopt AI and make the best use of AI in India?
I don't think anybody has a choice. Very simple. So I'll give you the examples. In businesses, you always have, supply chain as one of the most critical departments, because people like Maruti Udyog, when they came in, they taught you the advantages of running a low inventory. Now think about it. Now, if that supply chain today becomes more efficient, if it is more value engineering based, if it is more AI-driven, if it is more based on predictive analytics, it's more integrating the whole supply system, then I can today run and program and be 3 to 4% more efficient on my bottom line. That means I don't have a choice. I will have to run a AI-based supply chain. Same thing when I start applying it to the normal ecosystem. We have all seen healthcare. Now, healthcare is a perfect example of machine. I mean, every hospital has got somebody says 64-bit, somebody says 256-bit. I mean, ultimately, we are all looking at diagnostics by the machines. We are looking at doctors relying on their human knowledge, and if we can combine it with the AI knowledge, all we are saying is that our medical systems will become more efficient. Education, personalized education, and more importantly, I think, Niranjan, you talked about equalization. You talked about the vectors where every population or every individual has a right to the same information or the same data or to the same analysis, because that means he can do better decision making. I think it is just needs to be applied. The potential is from railways to predict whenever the next Prayagraj happens,
Yes.
to whatever we do in our today's life. I think the potential is very, very high.
On a lighter note, machine learning will keep happening, but we tell journalists in the newsroom not to use ChatGPT while writing scripts. They get caught. You know how they get caught? Because when they put the script into ChatGPT, right, when it comes up as former US President Donald Trump, that bias is still there, it's stuck. And when they write Arvind Kejriwal, it comes as Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. That's how they get stuck. So we encourage all our journalists not to use ChatGPT in the newsroom. That was on a lighter note. But my last question to you is, Mr. Gurnani, I know India set some money aside. I was going through some numbers of what the government is doing. Of course, the Prime Minister kept a large amount of money aside for AI. He talks about AI. He knows the importance of AI. He's talking about data centers. Now, from a policy reform front, what do you think we need to do more as a country to not just, promote AI, not just make it, a necessity, but make it a revolution and stay ahead of the curve?
I do want to compliment the current administration led by Prime Minister Modi, because they definitely see the role AI will play in their vision for 2047, the Viksit Bharat, or the immediate goal of 2030. And, we can always keep looking at a glass half empty and saying, ye bhi karo, wo bhi karo. My belief is, I think government is giving us the roads. Road here I mean by digital path.
Yeah.
I think a lot has to be done by the corporate sector. A lot has to be done by the academic sector. A lot has to be done by the individual. I again want to re-emphasize, today's AI is more personal than any other tool or technology that has ever been developed.
Yeah.
And if it is personal, that means you need to be personally proficient. You need to bring it into your day-to-day usage. You need to make sure that the processes which are unnecessarily being done are replaced by more automation and better processes. And if that is true, I personally believe instead of expecting anything from the government, it's very easy. Give more money, give more startup fund, give more product fund, give more all of this. But if we need to step up, ultimately, India has proven there are two things that India has always done well. A, respond to the challenge.
Yes.
The challenge is 100 million jobs. I think they will come by creating 100 million entrepreneurs. Number two is, India has always responded, when one job will be lost, how do we create the next new jobs? And I personally believe it is for us to rise to the occasion instead of waiting for government to do anything.
Yeah. My last point to you is your personal venture, now you're an entrepreneur. At Ionos, what is your goal? What is your vision with the AI industry in India?
Thank you for allowing this commercial. So, Ionos is all about AI plus human experiences. For me, it is not about serving a customer, it is serving customer's customer. When I serve a customer's customer, I have to make sure while I'm using agentic AIs, well, I use the best automation platform which I develop. I also need to take into account is human beings cannot be replaced. If you are going to ask for, a booking on a, airline, I mean, there are times when you want to discuss options. There are times when you want to know what will happen to your luggage. There are times when you want to discuss what will happen to the food and whether you will get your preferred food. There are times when you want to understand whether the wheelchair would be available or not. And that customer experience, as long as I can combine it with data and make the person who is answering you even more human, I think that's really what Ionos stands for. I just gave this as one example, but ultimately I'm doing it for enterprise AI. I am doing it for call centers. I am doing this products for TTLH, which is again repeating travel, transport, logistics, and hospitality. And the reality is, if next time when you check in, if they're using my solution, I promise you, you don't have to wait for 5 minutes to check in because you would be able to check in without going to the counter.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Gurnani, and pleasure talking to you. I see that that aggressive Mr. Gurnani is still there. Tiger zinda hai, like they say. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.